So I work with a lot of agents where I've helped them create their personal branding for them. And they use this in their presentations.
Love it.
They've closed more deals than they've ever had.
It's spectacular.
Good morning. Welcome back, listeners.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we are diving into the world of real estate commitment issues.
That is an incredible name. What do we mean by commitment issues?
I know you want to learn more about my dating life, Toni, but it's not about me all the time.
Okay. I heard you were taken. You don't have a dating life.
Oh, that is true. Well, we want to find out why your clients are hesitant to get off the fence or be like a skydiver and jump off the plane. And we want to be able to help you, real estate agents, whether you're new or whether you're dealing with a lot of clients who are basically kind of B or C leads, rated B or C leads. You want to get them to the A, rated A. And here are some common reasons why clients might have commitment issues.
Okay, number one, and this has come up a lot. It might have nothing to do with you, but it could be fear of making a bad investment. I mean, it's normal, right? How many times do you have it happen where a client worries about the financial implications of buying and selling a property?
Well, I think it goes a little bit deeper about how they value money and how they like to spend. And
it's so true. It goes back to everyone's money story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whether they're, penny pinching for every single penny or dime that they make and like wanting to keep it in their account, but then seeing it depleting is a whole different level of fear.
I think buying and selling real estate, especially for some people, is an incredible emotional journey. Like if you're an agent and your clients are experiencing that fear of making a poor investment, they just don't want to make a mistake. But there's a lot that goes through their minds psychologically and their feelings when they're putting in an offer on a place, maybe selling a property. And you might not be understanding or cognizant of the behind the scenes things. Like, what are some telltale signs from clients that you've experienced where they've had fear of making, maybe they're worried about their net value from the sale proceeds? And how did you overcome that by helping support them and move forward to making a decision?
Well, I can explain a little bit about this one family. They came from somewhere in India. And I don't know the city that they moved here, I'd say 10 years ago. Okay. They haven't bought. And let's put it this way, I had to pass the lead on to my team. So I don't have a happy ending story yet to share.
That's okay. It's in progress.
But I do want to mention they've been renting this entire time and they're very active. So we see them logging in, checking out the listings that we share with them. And every time there's a perfect home that fits their needs and their criteria, they're unwilling to put an offer in. But if they did or if they do, they're afraid to pay the asking price, even at multiple offers. There's always something wrong with the home.
So you're thinking that in this scenario with these particular clients, it's just the fear related back to money and making a poor investment, or like?
I think for them is they came from nothing. So
I see.
They want to hold on to everything.
And they can't let it go.
They can't let it go.
We see that sometimes too. Yeah.
And we're doing our job. We're doing our
supporting
we're
them.
being of service. We're providing them with the right advice. They get, their friends have purchased. Yeah. They see that it makes a big difference and an impact in their family life, in their lifestyle. And I think the mother is more realistic with adding real estate to their portfolio is adding wealth. I believe it's more the husband that has that hesitation. So we've done our job as advisors. We've done our job to be as service oriented to this family. For them, they're just really concerned that, this maybe like one paycheck will make a huge impact, and it basically bombs their entire year.
I mean, to me, this actually sounds like they're getting closer, because I think sometimes a mistake that agents will make is, they'll make it about them, obviously. We've talked about that before. It's like, oh, these people are not buying, they're not selling. But it's not about us. As Jenny said, it's about supporting the client in their journey. And they have to come to the conclusion on their own, both of them, because you said there's two decision makers, that this investment will benefit the family long-term wealth-wise by expanding their real estate portfolio and adding that in. So let us know in a future episode if these guys transact.
I also want to share, a lot of agents tend to blame it on the market.
You can't. It's not always
It's not
that.
the market.
No.
It's not the market. So in this situation, we really went and were aware of the attachment that this couple has to money. And so it's not about the market. They have actually have seen been in two dips already.
Yeah.
And even with the dip, they're still afraid to get in.
We've had clients like that too, and eventually they have purchased.
Good.
But they kind of have to experience it, right? And then they feel like they've got more notches on their belt, like they're close, they've done their research, and then it feels right. So I hope that it happens for them and for you.
I want it to happen for them.
Yeah.
Another reason why a client would have commitment issues is that they're typically so emotionally attached to what a dream home looks like that it's actually really unrealistic.
I love the psychology of this. Say more.
Well, you've outlined, we've outlined what they want and the lifestyle that they want. And you're showing them homes based on what they want. You're also showing them homes based on the price point that they can afford.
Yeah.
But the emotional side of things get in the way.
We have a client like this right now.
Okay. Let's share that example with our listeners.
Oh, it is such a challenge for these guys. And honestly, we have nothing but love for them. They're extremely emotionally attached. This is a family of 5. Okay, so the reason for purchase obviously is to set down roots somewhere and provide for a family, single family residence for their future wealth and just have security, right? They don't want to rent anymore. But they have a lot of emotions about how the home feels as soon as they walk inside, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because you ultimately have to love where you're going to move your family. Like, it's actually going to be your home. There's a lot of criteria that has to be met. But what's really interesting is the wife is highly, highly emotional. So we have a must-have list of 5. We brought them that home. We brought them that home. This is perfect.
Diamond gem.
This is perfect. Yeah. But then she still had an idealized version of the perfect home. Like, I think it actually for her went back to societal belief systems on what constitutes a good and proper home. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did that idealized version of where she wants to see her family form? Well, probably from all of the noise around her, right? Like the social media, if you go on Pinterest. Exactly. And so what we keep reminding these clients of is like, okay, the most important thing right now, why are you purchasing? It's to secure a quality investment, long-term investment for you and your family. 2, it's a place where you guys can live comfortably and create memories and just like not be over budget, just live, because that's what's important. And 3, for them, it's important to have proximity to other family members. Anyhow, this particular couple missed out. We brought them this property. It ended up going multiple offer. We could have secured the property, but their emotional attachments to what they thought they wanted got in the way. But I think that this was a really valuable learning experience, because I think that when we meet the next one, it was really hard to find that one with all of their must-have list, and their emotions got in the way. I think that when we find that the next home that meets that criteria, I don't actually think they're going to hesitate, because they've now had to question. It's like, take a step back. There's some kind of disconnect between, and a budget too. You mentioned budget. Sure, you can have those other things as well if you increase your budget by $300,000, but that's a total different pre-qualification of mortgage.
Absolutely.
It's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And therefore, this is the best option based on what you said.
Mhm.
So I'll let you know how it goes with those clients. I'm really excited for them, but it's really interesting to see when people's emotions or their previous conditioning and ideas get in the way of them making a decision today that would benefit their family.
Yeah. I actually was recently in this situation as well, and my clients weren't willing to come up by X number of dollars. And I asked them, how do you feel about losing this home?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
How do you feel about losing this home? How did it make you feel? How do you think it would have made you felt had you secured this home by now? So by asking these questions, is getting them to go deeper into how they feel, um, allowed them to understand that it just, you know what, their reaction on their face was priceless. That's why I'm a little bit speechless right now to be able to explain
No, I
how bad I
understand.
felt
I
for them
understand.
losing on a property, because they had no words.
You know
It was
what?
more just the feeling that they had
Yeah,
and the
it was a
reaction
look of
that when I,
disappointment or
a disappointment of themselves of
Yeah.
not taking my advice, because they trust me completely. There's 100% trust.
Mhm.
They were in their own way.
Yeah, and it happens, but you know what? They'll hopefully be ready for the next one. That's a learning process.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what I did one time? This is one extreme. I don't recommend it. I knew this client very well. So she wanted this beautiful looking character home. They rarely become available. It was in Vancouver, had beautiful views of the mountains and water. And it was exactly what she wanted. And she was hesitant to put in an offer. And she was like, just keep me posted if they end up getting an offer. Because it's almost like, people are interesting. It's like a lot of times they want what other people want, right? It's like human nature. Like, oh, the market's going up. We're all going to jump in now. But really, you should be purchasing when nobody's jumping in.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. So anyhow, with this particular client, just to see how her emotions were going to go, I lied. I didn't lie the whole time, but I was like, oh, the house sold. The look on her face, she was like, what? I'm like, how do you feel about that? She's like, I should have put in an offer. I'm like, good news, you can. I lied to you. It's available. I did that. And she's like,
Like
you what?
reverse psychology.
Yeah, I'm like, but we should right now.
Did she write?
Yeah, but
Did
it
she
was
get
funny.
it?
She did, but it was funny, right? Because sometimes it's, as a buyer, we're talking about buyer commitment issues right now. It's like, oh, well, maybe I always have time to buy that home. And sure, there's options, like you're not locked in, but in that moment when she had to think about, feel how she felt when the home was gone, she was so deflated. So I know what you mean. And I'm like, okay, it was an overwhelming thing for her because she did hit me on my back. She was like, I can't believe you said that. I'm
tricked
like, but
me.
now you know.
It's almost like, oh, I want to go to the gym, but I can do it tomorrow. But then when you actually go to the gym, it just feels so much better.
I know. That's a good analogy.
Costs a lot, way more, but
I know. But anyways,
it's the same feeling.
Another reason people may have commitment issues, overwhelmed by choices.
Oh, yes. Yes. You know what? And what I can add to that, because when you're talking to so many people, like basically tugging you one direction, let's just say a family member, and then you have friends tugging you a different direction, you tend to get paralyzed by all this overwhelm because you are listening to everybody else and not really listening to yourself.
Yeah.
And so the role of an agent is to really qualify and I would say vet, all the properties that don't really match what your needs are.
How often have you guys had it happen? I'm going to try and explain it because it's more of a feeling that I get, where a buyer comes to you. Sometimes they have a very clear mapping system of where they want to go and why. Other times they're just kind of exploring the idea, and then it's our job to help guide them based on price point and what they've said is going to make a difference for themselves or their family. How often have you had it happen where a client thinks that they want one thing, but they end up changing their mind when you show them options? Just curious, like, does that happen a lot? Because we've had that happen where the client will say one thing. It's like, oh, I think I want, I don't know, a 2-bedroom in this area. but I could do a townhouse, like totally different price points, right? Or maybe a better example is like a townhouse versus a half duplex. And then it's like, that's a better example because then if the goal is longer term appreciation, like value, we would say the half duplex if it meets the criteria over the townhouse, and they've ended up purchasing that, but they're not really aware of like the market or the value.
I definitely have been in the situation where a couple with 2 kids, they lived in a fantastic West Vancouver residential house, and they got a really good I guess, rental rate because the owner was from overseas and they didn't have to move out right away until they received a notice that the owner wanted to tear the house down. But their rent in West Vancouver was better than a condo.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And they had a massive house with a yard in West Van. So what happened was we were looking at properties because they wanted to stay in the school catchment. They were willing to look at houses that were a knockdown, or basically you could live for a few years,
like near land value,
just to be able to get into the market. And we just couldn't find the right, I think, property because of the characteristics of the land and the garden space for the kids. So we ended up having, and we were also putting on offers in East Vancouver because that's where I originally sold their home. So we were looking between North Van, West Van, East Van, from houses to townhouses.
Oh, that's a lot.
Right? That's a lot of coverage. Guess what they ended up buying last year?
Did they buy, well, it depends. What did they value more, like a comfortable space for their family, or they just
cared about location?
Yeah.
So they went for a house because it was really the next step for them from a condo, condo that I sold. And plus they were living in a house.
Yeah.
But they bought in Coquitlam.
Honestly, that's all. No, but this is the thing. Because that speaks to what was important to them in terms of like real estate investment. And sure, they liked the community, but longer term value for something like a house in Coquitlam, it's going to outpace the townhouse in Vancouver all the time. Plus the fees, right? So that's a great example. We've had that happen too.
The fees, the strata fees.
Well, no, just like clients that say that they want one thing, but then when you really sit down with them and ask what's important to them, right? Like, oh, it's important to build wealth for my family while being in a safe environment. It's pretty common that families will say that. We normally try and advise them, like it's always their decision. But then if that's the case, you want to build long-term value in like a detached home, freehold. So for me too, if that was important, I would just move areas. Like I would move further out.
Yeah. And the hardest part was the husband would see it first. And if the husband's like, okay, I
you have to go back.
You have to go back for a second time with the wife. They're two totally different schedules.
Yeah.
Because they also have to take care of kids.
Yes.
And on top of that, I can't get a conversation in at the same time when they're reconvening.
I know
about it. So, I mean, I probably could have controlled that a little bit more.
No, I think though you're right. They had the potential to be overwhelmed by choices, and it sounds like you guys guided them through, and they made the decision.
They
right?
Bought,
that's
so,
important.
Yeah.
What's a fourth one?
Lack of trust in an agent.
Ooh.
That can happen when they've had recent dealings with agents who
especially that, and then you have to overcome
really bad
their trauma.
Exactly. And so they may be hesitant to commit to another one. And I know that most importantly is that understanding every person works differently. Like every agent has a different system, different method, different personalities. And so finding the right match is really important rather than trying to save a little bit of money, here and there and not getting the service that you need.
Very important.
And the final reason why people don't want to commit.
Oh my gosh, this happened the other day. External influences and advice. Everybody has a bloody opinion, don't they? Seriously.
Of course, they're entitled to.
I know, and it's okay. But what's not okay is enforcing your opinions on others, especially when you're not asked. Because what happens is you could have your own traumas or feelings and emotions towards something, and you're then putting it on a friend or family member. I've seen that happen a lot. Specifically, a situation that happened this week where these clients are amazing. They're actually first-time home buyers, and my team's helping them. But we wrote an offer. You know how first-time home buyers, it's a lot. It's so overwhelming for them. So we try and support them as much as possible. It's scary. I'll admit that. But it was so funny because in this particular scenario, they wanted to write an offer. We've been looking for a few months. They found their quote unquote dream home. We gave them the data for what the current market was showing the price range value was. And then we worked out a strategy for how we were going to present the offer at what price, like what price you're going to start at, where you'd like it to land kind of thing, based on the market value statistics. And it's so funny because very clearly, like, you know how homes can be priced way over market or at market? It doesn't matter. And you can't apply the same rule of thumb to like, oh, then we need to go for 100K off. Well, because some of them are already priced properly. Some of them are priced low. Some of them are priced like 250K too high. So it was so cute. This couple was like, they were on board with the original plan because it showed in the data. Like, it's pretty methodical. We went over everything with them. And then they were telling their friends and family what they were doing.
Oh, no. Dun,
and
dun,
that's okay,
dun.
but it's only okay if they're not going to give you terrible advice. So without looking at data, without knowing anything about the market, without some of these people having ever purchased a home themselves, like maybe if you were a long-term investor, sure. They were like, nope, you should not go in closer to the $750,000 that it's worth. You automatically have to go in at like below 700K. I'm like, if we do that, guys, then we're not going to get a counter back. You'll insult the seller. And very likely, if we want to try and bring an offer in the future, we'll lose bargaining power. They're not going to. So we had to explain this to them, but it was so funny. Not really funny. I'm like, wow, this is detrimental to your guys' success, but that happens. External influences and poor advice.
Every agent should advise their clients out there when there's an interest in a property, or when you're in the middle of negotiations. Don't share it with a neighbor. Don't share it with a family member, because that may actually skew your decisions and also bargaining power. Like you said, somebody could tell somebody, oh, I know so-and-so put an offer in. And then something, you just never know who's listening and who may want to interrupt this negotiation.
Well, it's true. And another example could be like, we've had this happen on the listing side before, where we tell our sellers, it's like, don't tell people why you're selling. But you know what happens in their friends groups? Like if it's a divorce, we've had this happen. They're like, it's a nasty divorce. We just need to sell, because they'll tell a friend. And then that friend will know somebody else that's looking in the area. It doesn't come from us because we're bound by agency, right? Like, I'm not going to say that. And the whole neighborhood now knows that you're in financial strife. You absolutely need to sell because it's a divorce sale. And you have people coming in the home being like, I hear these guys need to sell. It's really bad.
Yes. So actually, I did an open house.
Oh, what happened?
And an agent was shadowing me. Almost every single person that came through the door, like there was maybe 5 that day, their first question was,
why do they need to sell?
Okay. So what would be your answer?
Well, it depends.
What's your response?
So it depends on the market and things, right? But right now, my answer is this. Like, this is a great market to sell. If you were a seller, wouldn't you want to sell?
That's a good answer. That's a good response.
Unless you can't use that, obviously, if the market's in favor of buyers. But it would work right now. It works in a balanced market.
Yeah. So my response, I actually put the question back to them.
Why do you want to buy?
Why do you want to buy?
Yeah, it's a good one too.
Then they're like, whoa, I didn't expect this question. And they don't want to answer it. So it actually diverts them from me having to answer that question.
For sure. But you know what's really funny? Everyone that's listening, it's hilarious because I see new agents do this a lot. Like, I'm going to ask why they want to sell and they're going to tell me. No, it's an agency thing. Most of the time, they're not going to tell you. But yeah.
These were buyers that were asking.
I know, but buyers think they're like, why do they want to sell? Like, they're not going to tell you.
So we just listed 5 reasons why buyers would not want to get off the fence. We're going to now give you 5 strategies on how to guide your clients to commit to you as a real estate agent. Again, this is a commitment issue. So
I love those.
Building trust through transparency, number 1, is providing them with all the information in terms of like upfront. Okay, so what I do in my buyers guide and my seller's guide, presentation, I provide them with exactly my method, exactly the process of how the buying process, how the selling process is. I know that every agent has their way, their own way. It could be very similar, but one of the different things is I add a name to it. Like I tag like a certain name to this method.
That's the marketing
that no
in you.
one else. And so people think it's, oh wow, I'm part of this method. I'm part of this system. So it's not because they actually.
No, I wouldn't think that it is. It creates a connection in them, right? Like where they actually understand the transparency and the method.
So I work with a lot of agents where I've helped them create their personal branding for them. And they use this in their presentations.
Love it.
They've closed more deals than they've ever had.
It's spectacular.
Yeah.
A second way to overcome lack of commitment is establishing a personal connection. I think the easiest way to do this, so obviously understanding the client's specific needs, but how do we go about that? It really comes down to asking the right questions and listening very carefully to the answers. It's not just about asking a question and then, right, like understand why they truly want to make a move or why they are selling something. And ask further questions to understand what their priorities are if it's not clear to you, because then you can truly help them navigate through. We do this with all of our clients as well, but especially even on the listing consultation, because it's really important to know like what their expectations are and where they're going, right? And have they actually thought about it? We've gone on listing appointments before. I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but I will. Where based on what they say, it's actually not in their best interest to sell, in which case we don't list them.
Right.
But that does help with the transparency and establishing personal connection for when they're ready. And then Jenny kind of touched on this earlier, but your personalized approach. So tailoring your services to meet their specific needs. Just make them feel valued and understood, and that you're committed to helping them for the best outcome for them and their families if they have one.
One of the things that I also want to add, to go back to building trust and establishing personal connection is during the presentation, at the very end of the presentations, I actually show them how the contract looks like so that at any moment and any given moment, even at the last minute, they're ready to sign the contract of purchase and sale. And so taking the extra 30 minutes to go over every single clause, then they know that you're protecting them in all ways.
Do you guys do a pre-listing package or just on the listing appointment?
You mean sending the package before? No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I've heard so many different coaches like send a pre-listing package so you don't really need to go through that.
It depends on the personality style though of who you're presenting to. Right? Like so
the person receiving it, the client.
Exactly. So if it depends on who they are. If they're high analytical, I'll send it in advance because they want to read everything, every word in detail before, and then they'll ask questions for clarity. But if it's someone that's highly emotional, they actually, or a driver, they don't care.
They're not even going to read it.
Yeah, they'll just be like, tell me the main points.
Yes, yeah. That's a good point. I'm going to take your advice.
But it works with high analyticals really well.
Yeah, yeah. I personally think there are so many ways to add to the career we're in. For me, I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of community work as well. But just even the certifications that I've received, you and I have taken the accredited real estate negotiations course.
That was such a good course.
But little things like that where you're on top of the regular accredited courses that we have to take every 2 years to get relicensed. I find that a lot of the times when I make connections with the Burnaby Board of Trades, the Vancouver Board of Trades, the Chamber of Commerce, the Urban Development Institute, the Commercial Networking Association, by adding certifications and being associated with different leadership groups, I find is really helpful to add credibility to my name.
Absolutely. That's massive. Yeah.
And I would say it just makes me become like a better realtor. By being on Strata Council, I find a lot of the things, these are, because Strata minutes only say so much.
I know.
It's so
They
it's
really
like
don't tell you that much.
5% of what actually is discussed during meetings. And not that strata minutes are like intentionally hiding things,
No.
but there's so much decision making and factors that play into decisions. And so when you're reading it on paper, there's a lot of context behind the scenes that you're not aware of. By being on strata, like I'm on 2 strata councils, I'm on Block Watch. I know this is so geeky, but
I'm just kidding.
but then it's funny because this is so hands-on and very community-based.
Yes.
Versus if you asked me to become a member, like with a political office, like for example,
Of course, yes,
to be part of like city council,
Oh God.
I'm like, oh God, no, that's of no interest to me. Even though I know it'll add additional value to how it affects the bigger community as a whole. I think for me,
yes,
it personally doesn't resonate because of the bureaucracy and the
I know.
politics
It's
that go behind it.
Crazy. I think I would take part in more of those things too, but for me right now, because my kids are so young, it just eats into family time that I hardly have anyhow. So maybe when they're older and don't need me as much, I would actually love to participate in more community events, but
don't get me wrong. Like,
no, I got to pick and choose right now. That's the thing. Like,
absolutely.
I would like that. I would like that.
Like, are you part of the parents? What is it called? PAP?
Oh, the PAC?
Yeah, PAC.
The PAC.
What is it? So parents advisory committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
was for a bit, but
that.
the only problem is that they meet often in the evenings when I'm negotiating contracts.
Right.
And it's not really fair to them to like be on my phone. So maybe when the kids again, like if they're a bit older, yes, too, because it's also during their bedtime routine. Okay. So it's like I have to do one or the other. I can't balance more than that right now.
2 more. Creating a sense of urgency. Okay. I would also let my clients know that, hey, it could take in advance. I'd tell them sometimes it may take 1 or 2 homes that you're looking at. And you may, if you're ready to put an offer, you will get the sense of, did I see enough? Okay.
Yes.
And then there's also the other side of, well, you've seen 50. But the more you see, then the more you're going to know which one is the home you're going to want to buy.
Yeah. Doing your homework and everything. And limited time offers too, right? Like you can't always assume that incentives or unique opportunities are always going to be there.
But there's also in our market, it may not be in other cities, but we have the direction of offers.
Yeah.
So the sense of, it's obvious that with sense of urgency, it's typically created from the seller side because they want you to put an offer before by the deadline. So in our market in Vancouver, when a home hits the market, let's just say the 5th of June, you have about a week to view the property, and then offers are due 7 days later, 6 days later. So the seller is creating this sense of urgency, and typically when you've seen enough and you know that you have the right home that you've walked through, you can take advantage of like maybe interest rates at that time. It's going to create that urgency automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And our final point, providing assurance and support. How do we establish that with clients? It definitely is regular updates. Like, for example, with our listings, client will want to know how many people have viewed the home, what their feedback was, what were the demographics, any other things that you can provide them with that would actually help them, keep them up to date, keep them aware of market changes and what's actually happening with their home. It's interesting because I find that in most scenarios, if you're communicating properly and regularly and clearly with clients, it just alleviates so much pressure and stress. And for them, they know that you're being transparent and responsible. And so that's like actually, I don't know if I don't have a percentage, but I think that's half the battle because ultimately they trust you.
I would want to add as well, during the presentation, when you're getting to know them, you want to establish the communication style.
Yes.
So for example, after the showing, I'm going to ask you for your feedback. What I'm expecting is, did you like it? What didn't you like about it? How does it not work for you and your family? Give me more feedbacks. And also confirm how you'd like that feedback to be written out. Would you like a phone call? Would you like to get on the phone? Would you like to send me a text
Yes.
with your feedback?
So
when you're
important.
establishing the communication process, there's an expectation of how you're going to ask for the feedback, but you're also going to ask how they would like to send the feedback back
It's like
to you.
laying the foundations and creating efficient communication for how they want to receive it, right?
Right. And so that, to me, rather than feeling like you're being ghosted or feeling like you did something wrong as a realtor, you're providing them with assurance and support that regular updates and communication is essential in the process. So
wait, just one last thing about that too.
Yeah.
You know that there are so many things that can happen during the real estate process, right? And another point that we should talk about for providing assurance and support is that if there are concerns or if something happens with either one of your listings or with a buyer, like about a property, that you're letting them know right away as soon as possible and providing possible solutions. Because, nobody
point.
likes to deliver bad news.
Right.
And it's important to do it in a timely manner.
Yes. Yeah. I usually say, would you like the good news first or the bad news first? Right.
Oh, you give them the option?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say if you want to build a stronger relationship with your clients who typically are on the fence, you want to alleviate their commitment issues, guide them towards more confident decisions to working with you. And we gave you 5 strategies today, which again, in summary, it's about building trust through transparency. It's through establishing a personal connection and common interest, demonstrating your value and how you add to their life, providing the support that they need, and creating that sense of urgency. And when you do all of this, you can be their guiding light, being their compass to this crazy journey that they're going to go on. And I just want to add as well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We just really cherish these moments that you are giving us, which is a time that I get to have with Toni, by the way.
Yeah, special.
So don't forget to share these tips and tricks with your colleagues. But thanks for tuning in, and hopefully these tips boost your real estate game. Happy selling.
Yeah.